You know, the valley, it's unique in that it's subtropical, well-suited place for growing citrus, barring the occasional 100-year freezes like we had in the 80s. Subtropical weather, we're humid, warm, moisture typically. It's just a great place to grow citrus fruit. I'm Dale Murden. I'm a grower first and foremost, and I'm currently president of Texas Citrus Mutual.
My name is TJ Flowers, and I'm the Vice President of Operations and Sales here at Lone Star Citrus Growers.
My name is Manny Scaria. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of US Citrus.
My name is Dennis Holbrook, and I am the president of South Tex Organics here in Mission, Texas.
Texas citrus has been grown here in Hidalgo County for well over 100 years. John H. Sherry is the patriarch of the Texas citrus industry. In fact, he's the namesake of Sherryland, which is nestled in between McAllen and Mission, Texas.
John Sherry here in Hidalgo County actually moved the first commercial load of citrus that was graded and standardized for a pack. So the backdrop here is these wooden crates, and that's how they got started. These are 80-pound citrus crates that folks would actually harvest from the trees in the fields. The harvest bins that they're packed in are like 900 to 1,000 pound bins that they pack in now. And once they get into the packing sheds, it's all cardboard and sacks. But yeah, the industry's come a long way from the old wooden crates.
Citrus in South Texas has been here for over 100 years. And we have a very unique area in which to grow citrus.
What's unique about this area is that we have warm temperatures, cool nights during the wintertime, and it produces a very, very sweet red grapefruit. And that's unique in the grapefruit category.
Hidalgo County, we have a very sandy loam. We have thank God, we have a good supply of water. Even though we go through the water scarcity times, we have a reasonably priced land available, and we have labor force to. So we are blessed with so many things in Hidalgo County.
Texas citrus down here in the Rio Grande Valley is a challenge because of the heat. Obviously, you have to be close to a water source, which we have in the Rio Grande River, but water is always a concern.
Lots of challenges. Water's at the top of the list. We're in a pretty good drought cycle right now.
What would be better for Hidalgo County is if the treaty that we had with Mexico would be something that would be paid back on an annual basis rather than every 5 years.
The challenges of sharing water with another country, Mexico, and the issues involved with the 1944 treaty make it a concerning industry to be in. You got to have water to grow the trees. We just haven't had any rain, hadn't been any storms that have set on Falcon and Amistad to try to fill the lake levels up. So I always put water at the top of the list. That's a big challenge. Followed very, very closely down here by pest and disease issues. We live right along the Rio Grande River, so a lot of our challenges come to us again from Mexico, where sometimes things might not be treated like we treat them here. Mexican fruit fly, top of the list. Canker, HLB or greening that's wiped out the Florida industry. So we've got our challenges with citrus. It's a tough industry.
One of the challenges is once in a while we get the freeze, and every time we get the low temperature, everybody is getting nervous about it. But there are some options that we can do to minimize the impact of that one. The second one is, in general, there is a disease called citrus greening that is very common in Florida and Texas, and now in California, also in certain areas. That's a challenge.
Whenever you're in drought conditions, the country of Mexico and Hidalgo County itself share this same water source, which is fed upstream by various reservoirs. Just like any agricultural endeavor, we are dependent on Mother Nature. We're dependent on the weather. And sometimes she shines favorably, and sometimes she can be very harsh. In February of 2021, we had a very bad freeze. We had over 3 days hovering in and around 20 degrees. And this Texas citrus that you see around you, although it has rebounded from that, they're not very freeze tolerant. They suffer under those type of cold conditions. And so we went from that season having shipped almost 1.5 million cartons to the next year with all the trees damaged, only shipping 500,000 cartons. So we're very dependent on the weather. Freeze is always a concern. The next major impact from a weather standpoint outside of drought would be a hurricane. That's another event. Since we're only 80 miles away from the coast, Hidalgo County is hurricane susceptible. So whenever there's a hurricane impending, we're always watching very closely as it relates to what the wind speeds are, how much rain is projected to fall. The rain, of course, being good, the wind speed being bad, because depending on the time of year that it hits, it could actually blow the fruit off the tree. And once the fruit is blown off the tree, it has no commercial value whatsoever.
If you look at the economics data, it said that the citrus industry in the country is $13 billion, and out of that, 8 or 9 will be in Florida, 4 in California, less, probably a smaller percentage of that one in Texas. But more than we have some troubles with the last freeze. Every time when there is a disruption, the data will become obsolete.
The Texas citrus industry here in Hidalgo County actually employs hundreds of people. When you figure just our small family-owned and operated business, we employ well over 200 people when you count the packing shed and also our harvest crews and the field crews that work our Grove Care business. But it actually goes deeper than that, because we have vendors that we're constantly purchasing materials from to supply our operation. And then you also have to figure that we ship all of our Texas citrus out to the greater United States on a commercial capacity to all the major retailers. And so we hit all of these customers of ours, which generates cash flow for them as well. So the local impact is a very large footprint, hundreds of people employed, but the national impact is also felt when you consider the food production status of this industry.
You look at all of the number of different peoples, it's a significant number of people that are employed, and the economic impact is significant as well, because it not only, they say that money turns over 7 times in an economy. So you think about that in Hidalgo County, just from citrus alone is probably a pretty significant number.
Well, 80% of the Texas industry is located in Hidalgo County. The latest economic impact study that we did shows that the citrus industry has about a $468 million economic impact to the state of Texas. Over 5,000 jobs, 600 family farms still involved with citrus, and the majority of that's right here in Hidalgo County. So we're real proud of that.
A lot of people think that the variety of grapefruit they want is the Ruby Sweet. That's an older varietal, which is very good, but the Rio Red grapefruit is actually what most people are used to, whether they know it or not. The Rio Red grapefruit is 7 to 10 times redder on both the inside and the outside than a actual Ruby Sweet grapefruit. Of course, red is a very beautiful color to have on the inside and the outside of the grapefruit. It's also, of course, known for being very sweet here in Texas.
We were part of a pie of a $13 billion industry in the United States. But for Texas, our biggest one is the grapefruit. No one in the world can make grapefruit as tasting as grown in the Rio Grande Valley.
So you have some very distinctly different production areas of the United States that have different characteristics. And that's the reason why Texas is known for its grapefruit. Nobody, and I say this in all honesty, no one grows grapefruit like they do right here in Texas. So in Hidalgo County. So it's the best grown anywhere.